This reunion, man, it's actually not that bad. Let's check in on Vic and Christine. That's so sweet, man. I love them together. Let's check in on Ashley, Alex, Devonta, and Brittany. Mamma mia. Okay, relax. Let's take a break. But not before we get into my recap and review for Love is Blind Season 10, The Reunion. Ladies and gentlemen, if you thought it was going to be civil, I'm here to tell you that it was not a civil reunion. Instead, it was very chaotic, and we're going to get into all the details. Rumor has it Amber might still be offset. Who knows? What's going on, you guys? James here with another real recap and review. But no, Amber did make her way back on the stage, as did the others, because a lot of people were ready to throw some hands, but instead they were throwing words back and forth. Guys, the Love is Blind Season 10 reunion for Ohio, it was a trip, okay? I'm literally mentally and physically exhausted from watching this thing, but I have enough energy to bring you all my recap. Now, again, if you haven't been with me on this Love is Blind Season 10 journey and this is your entryway, please like the video, subscribe down below, tap on that bell to stay notified when we cover the next season, and for all my reviews, movies, TV, and everything in between, you're going to want to stay connected. Also, get loud in the comments below, you guys, and let me know which moment from the reunion was your favorite. And no, don't you dare say the reunion moment where they were going in the crowd and asking past contestants questions. That was so annoying. But we're going to get into that and so much more in just a little bit. But hey, spoilers ahead, you guys, because I'm going to be saying everything. I got a ton of notes. So we're talking about everything in the reunion. If you haven't watched it, save this to your watch later list. Come back after you do, and let's have a conversation about it. But if you're okay with me getting into it, let's get started. All right, let me go pray before we get into this. Hold on. So, of course, we open with the Lacheys, Nick and Vanessa. And here I was thinking that they were going to be terrible hosts, but I'm going to give them their flowers here because, my goodness, they did a very good job. I was surprised they were going in on contestants. I mean, Nick Lachey at one point told somebody, you might want to see a therapist. Bro, what? When was the last time you heard Nick Lachey come for somebody in this show, dragging people by their edges? I was surprised, very surprised. And they reveal that there are past contestants in the audience from Love is Blind history. Some singles, some dating, some married, of course. So they brought everyone, but they didn't bring Lauren. We love Lauren and Cameron. They brought Cameron, but they didn't bring Lauren. But maybe Lauren's, busy. I mean, listen, they're parents, right? So, one can go, one cannot. But yeah, I didn't care about none of that. I wanted to see our contestants from this season. So we've got everyone walking out in their outfits, and Alex came out in a very casual fit. Everyone's dressed to the nines. I got a dress on. I got a suit. Alex is like, bro, I was just at brunch with my homies. Like, did you not get the memo? I don't know. Did you not read the memo? But who took my eye was Chris. But not like in an endearing way. It wasn't like he caught my eye because, man, that guy knows how to dress. He looked like he's trying to cosplay Tom Hanks from Castaway. With that long hair, some people, they can rock the long hair. And some people just can't. I'm sorry. But we begin the reunion with Vic and Christine, our married couple. I love them. They're awesome. They're one of two married couples, right? It was them two. It was Jordan and Amber. So much for that. But we're going to start with Vic and Christine. They bring up going to Malibu instead of Mexico. And Nick mentions, listen, this is the first time in Love is Blind history that we followed 7 married couples. And I'm like, well, you overemphasized that one. Now you had to really bring that up. Interesting. And he brought it up again. And part of me thinks that this is confirming the theory that I and so many of you have had, which is they did not want to follow Vic and Christine. They made it out the pods and they realized, oh shoot, these other couples suck. We're going to need to follow a very nice couple, and that is Vic and Christine. They're our golden couple this season, but we just didn't book their flight or anything, so we're going to send you to play cornhole in Malibu. Yikes, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Both Vic and Christine now live in Columbus, Ohio together, and honestly, they do sound mad cute. Yeah, I mean, everything is just so nice. Their home life includes leaving notes to one another, bits of scripture around the house. I mean, glory to God. Keep him at the center, right? A cord of 3 strands is not easily broken. Y'all know it. So it was really nice to hear them speak so highly of one another and how they're loving married life. Vic did meet Christine's dad, and now remember, Christine and her father did not have the best of relationships, but Christine reveals that he forgave her father, and that's nice. This is the real life stuff you want to see. But here's the thing. There's a reason they put Vic and Christine first, because they had to leave time for some of the juicy mess that we're about to get into. All right, Amber and Jordan. We're wasting no time, you guys. Are they still married? Are they not? What do y'all think? No, they're not still married. They got married. They stayed together for 4 months, and it was, at least it sounds like a toxic 4 months. But yeah, they pretty much hate each other. Jordan said that Amber changed a lot during those 4 months. She switched up on him. And, well, she has trust issues, of course, with men. But he dropped the bar here. It was a bar. He said, I felt like I constantly had to repair a trust I did not break. Alrighty, Jordan. Man, you got to put that up in the basement on the man cave, on the wall. That was a bar. But yeah, it just seems like Amber is still very much hurting underneath the surface. Above the surface, she seems, I guess, fine sometimes. Well, actually, never mind. The next note we're about to get into is not good for her. So maybe on the surface, she's not doing a good job. Ugh. So they didn't move in together after the wedding, and she was just not having it with Jordan, saying when you're married, you should want to live with your wife. And yes, you should. Jordan just didn't want to give up that city life. You know what I mean? I'm not going to the rural areas of Ohio. I'm staying in the burbs. Actually, yeah. Would it be the burbs? I don't know. All right, I'm tired. But the thing is, Amber said Jordan was not ready to be a father figure to Emma and a wife or husband to her. Man, this drama got me all flustered. So according to Amber, she said Jordan was more worried about going to the bars with his friends. Hey, listen, I wasn't there, so I don't know, but based on context, clues, and precedent, that kind of tracks. I don't know. But yeah, he disagreed with her, saying that, he was going to just go and hang out with his friends and didn't want to come home. And then he really disagreed with her on this next point. Amber says, you really just wanted an at-home or stay-at-home wife. Oof. Not great. But Jordan says, I definitely disagree. Instead, this man claps back with another story and said, we've been going to friends' weddings during those 4 months, and I was the best man at one of my buddies' weddings, and you were blackout drunk, face down on the ground, homie. And I thought, excuse me? Amber, that's not great. And then they get into Emma and Amber and the dynamic there, and Amber doesn't handle this conversation very well. They're asking, at this point, my stream did kind of go off a little bit. I had to bring it back because I was watching this during the reunion watch party. And fill me in too if I missed anything. But Amber stormed off after her daughter was brought up and like what her daughter might be feeling and how Amber feels with this. And she storms off the set, runs back, and Vanessa Lachey is like, the most important thing is someone gets back there and checks on her. Okay. That was nice, Vanessa. But those two must have had a messy falling out. The segment ends shortly thereafter. And all I got to say is that they were worse off than we could have ever imagined. Listen, okay, I get it. Jordan had some trepidation getting into this wedding ceremony. He was nervous, but he still said yes. I don't know. Homeboy he should have just said no. You might as well have said no because those 4 months sounded terrible, y'all. So Nick Lachey is trying to transition out of this moment, and he says, this is all about resolving unresolved issues. And then the camera focuses on Chris and Alex. And I'm like, whoo-hoo. Oh, man. Well, one of those two sort of apologizes and tries to, resolve the issue. Not really. The other, Alex, he's going scorched earth. So, alrighty. Let's get into one of the moments that they, of course, get us into, which is this weird, let's have tea time with past contestants. So we have AD, and then they call her Gigi. Am I allowed to say Gigi? But they're going around and asking past contestants and current season contestants about the tea. They go to Kia and Tyler said, life is good. Choose yourself. And I'm like, Tyler, hey, I wish you were on that stage so we can ask you some questions about your behavior in the pods. Anyway, Kia said, life is also great for me. I've learned a lot. I've grown into a great person. A shout out Howard University. And I was like, HU? So, yeah, that was fine. But honestly, these moments are just filler. This is giving Chris Paul State Farm shoot-around moment from last season's reunion. So Amber then rejoins the stage and she says, listen, okay, I'm together. I'm together now, all right? And I'm not making fun of the moment she had. But listen, Amber, she'd be quick to run off. So Amber says, all the girls came around me in support, and I've got great support all season long and even after filming. And I'm like, great, Amber, good for you. But then Amber says, hey, I'm not done. I hate you, Chris. And Chris is like, how did I get in it? And then Amber said, I still hate you. All right, Amber, we get it. You hate Chris. But Amber said, listen, at the end of this, Jordan's a good guy, unlike Chris. I hate you, Chris. Bro, goodness gracious, okay? I was about to make an everybody hates Chris joke, but listen, that shows too seasoned to talk about an unseasoned person like Chris. Amber said Chris is the example of men that she has trust issues with and is exactly why she has them currently. Then Amber is like, well, listen, okay, well, Jordan's a good guy. Vic, you're a great guy. I don't have trust issues with you. Hey, Chris, I hate you. Like this, she just didn't stop. But I love Vic's reaction because the moment that Amber brought him up, Vic was like, hey, listen, my name is Bennett and I ain't in it. So enough. I don't even want to be in this. You know, like Vic is trying so far to stay out of the drama, but good for you, bro. Now it's time to talk about Bri and Connor. Hey, they're sitting next to each other. Why is that? They seem a little friendly. Why is that? Well, it's because of what we're about to talk about. So Bri says, I regret things I've said about Connor during the season. Yeah, you think? You might have regret the fact that you said, I looked at your car in the driveway and I thought, could he be a husband? Does he have pride? And annoying. I don't like Bri, but okay. Then Connor reveals something that really knocked me out of my seat. They're still together, you guys. So it looked like they did call it off on the show. Admittedly, maybe the door was left a little bit open, but I thought, hey, ventilation, you're letting air into the room. No, that little crack that was open, dog, they opened that door wide open again. Because Connor and Bri are now dating again. They're together. They're an item. They start hugging on each other, and I'm like, Connor. All right, you deserve this, bro. I don't know. Listen, do I think that Bri was genuine during the reunion in saying things like, hey, I need to be better and I do really like Connor? Sure, I think so. But it just didn't feel like if that was the case, like based on what you said in the show, I don't know. It's like tale of two halves here. So then the Lacheys ask Connor, how do you feel about Chris's comments at the pod mixer? And they play that moment, of course, where Chris is in the bathroom with Alex, I believe, and saying things like, Bri is so hot, so on and so forth, and then talking down about Connor, saying he's such a scrawny, you'd have to beat him up. I'm paraphrasing here, but that's basically what he said. So Chris says, listen, Connor doesn't even cross my mind. I pay him no mind. I have nothing to give that man. That's pretty good. And they ask Connor, do you have anything to say to Chris right now? And he says, no. Boom, roasted. Alrighty, moving on now to Bri again, because Nick is coming for Bri a little bit. And I kind of like this. Nick Lachey was calling her out saying, hey, Bri, do you think that you might have spoke and indulged too much in the conversation you had with Chris at the pod mixer? Nick Lachey. Bri says, yes, I should have cut it off sooner. But hey, Connor's been my number one. And apparently Connor's still the number one because they ask Bri, where do you see yourself and Connor now? And she says, going to the altar, getting married, having babies, things like that. Okay, Bri. All right. I'm just saying, if you start a family, you're going to need a minivan eventually, right? Or maybe an SUV. And you might find that the affordable ones are Hondas. Or maybe you're going to want a Lamborghini Aventador. Who knows, Bri? Again, I just can't get past the fact that Bri, I think, was showing a lot of red flags for me in the show. And is she working through those? I don't know. We'll see. And then we get another moment in the audience where they're trying to stir up more tea from previous seasons. Just no, enough of this. This was just glorified filler for 80s podcast. It was. So now let's talk about Chris. Oh, Chris. Mamma mia. This is wild, y'all, because we get into some stuff here. So Nick says Chris managed to anger everyone this season, and he congratulates him sarcastically, of course. But yeah, he really did anger everybody, even the audience. But Chris says, watching back, my moments were tough. Oh, were they? Were they? And he says, I'm not proud of those moments. And we're all waiting for an I'm sorry. But no, we get no apologies, at least not in this moment. So Nick says to Chris, like, you are so trash. Okay. He doesn't say you're trash, but he basically says you're trash and that you probably need to handle some of this stuff in therapy. But he's dragging this man. Nick gives the floor then to Chris one more time and says, do you want to say anything to Connor? Connor looks a little upset. I thought I saw his hand shake a little bit, and I was like, hold him back. This is Love is Blind, not Jerry Springer. But I thought that was fair for him to be upset. Chris said, I'm sorry, Connor, and I'm not asking you for forgiveness. And Connor's like, good, I wasn't asking for it. I don't want your forgiveness. No, Connor won't do that. Then we bring in Jess. Remember Chris and Jess? How could you forget about them, you guys? Jess says, I believe at one time that Chris, had some massive financial insecurities, because remember, the moment Chris goes over to Jess's house, he starts to distance himself afterwards. And I'm thinking, listen, maybe Chris had a little financial insecurity there. Like, I can't keep up with this lifestyle. I mean, Jess wasn't asking him to, but I think he felt that way. But Chris, of course, says, no, Jess's success did not make me insecure. But Nick keeps pressing, and I thought, whoa. All right, we're going full court press with this one, Nick. Very good. Chris said the downfall for me was that I put the physical connection ahead of the emotional connection. I don't know. All right, listen, I think you just wanted Bri. You could just say that. You could just say it, but you won't. When Chris begins talking about taking steps to becoming more emotionally mature, Jess lets out a laugh, and I was falling out. Listen, that was hilarious, you guys. Jess is not a fan of Chris. Jess is ready to move on. Jess and Chris will most likely never interact outside of this reunion ever again. So Chris apologizes to Jess. Jess says, I have nothing to say to you. And then Chris says, I'll never have an emotional connection like the one I had with you. Bro, you might not have an emotional connection for a while. That's, work on yourself, but bro, you're just not a nice dude. So then they tease the fact that one of the Love is Blind contestants from this season in the pods were actually in a relationship or are in a relationship with somebody from this season. And I thought, what is happening here? Promo cut to this Netflix mobile puzzle game. No one's playing that, Netflix. I'm sorry, no one's playing that. Just give us what we're looking for. Who is this surprise couple? Oh, and it happens to be Jess is dating somebody who was in the pods, but not really featured. Harmol. Y'all remember Harmol? We in the cast breakdown, I was going through the Meet the Cast video. I'm pretty sure he was one of the contestants, and we never saw him really in the pods too much. He's a doctor, and they're dating. So, I'm pretty sure he's a doctor. Am I wrong on that? Harmol gives Jess her flowers and expresses his feelings publicly for her. He says, I love you, and you're looking good. Not going to say what he said, because that's for him to say to her. But I'm like, oh, okay. All right, they're kind of feeling each other. We'll see if that works out. But yeah, this whole time I know Chris is sitting there thinking, I messed up, didn't I? Yeah, you fumbled the bag, homie. You really did. Okay, so let's check in on Mike and Emma. So, this was a very interesting development because Mike says, I was surprised by Emma's yes at the altar because 2 days prior to our wedding ceremony, we had agreed we would say no at the altar. No, you really? Oh my gosh. Who could have seen that coming? Okay, me. But when they went to the altar and Emma said yes, Mike was really surprised and thought to himself, do I need to say yes so I don't look like the bad guy here? But he said no ultimately because it's what they agreed on, and he wasn't convinced she wanted kids. But Emma says, I said yes, and I thought that was a declaration of my commitment to have children. Girl, that's not what that means. You got to be more clear than that. And in the conversations prior to the altar ceremony moment, oh my gosh. So Emma reveals that she's still single, but Mike said, I'm dating, and she's in the audience. Tara! Well, he doesn't say that, but, they're dating, and Emma's single, and they move on because I'm going to be honest, the only part of that segment that was a real takeaway was the fact that Emma saying yes was a complete shocker to Mike. Alrighty, so let's move on to Alex and Ashley. Oh my gosh, I hope we never get a chance to see Alex again in Love is Blind history. Keep him off my television screen, but for now, we're talking about him. So Alex is sitting there just yapping. That man is yapping, trying to defend himself. Oh, my flight plans were sound. I went to Austin. I went to Chicago. Bro, you're a liar. We don't care. He says that he didn't cheat and his timeline is accurate even with those gaps. But Ashley says, really? Really? And he's like, doesn't matter what you think. I don't see you as a wife. Mamma mia, excuse me. Yeah, he basically keeps saying and reiterating that he doesn't see a wife in her. And he never saw it. And, well, he might have, maybe in the pods, but he does say that during the reveal moment this season, that's when he knew that ain't a wife. That's what he said. Well, no, it's because Ashley is white, and he said he likes a woman with brown features. I thought something to say, but I'll reserve that for myself because, well, I'll say it anyway. You don't vote like it. But Alex sounds like in this entire moment that he is trying to gaslight Ashley as to why they didn't work out. Alex's apology was, I'm sorry if you felt that way. This man is a child. So Alex ends up getting so salty that he's now snappy with the Lacheys, and Ashley and Alex start jawing at each other, and you know what? They're just toxic for each other. I'm glad they didn't get married. Ashley says she did cut him off during the officiant's, I do, yes or no moment for Alex because she didn't want him to reject her. She wanted to just get ahead of it. And honestly, fair, because Alex reveals he was going to say no anyway. Then we learn that Alex is living with Devonta, and we learn this because they put up a little montage sequence. It's a tiny short video that felt like forever because Devonta was playing soccer with Alex. Alex was the goalkeeper. Devonta was setting up from the penalty kick spot, and they were doing a penalty shootout. This whole time, I thought, how do you go from Alex being such a total jerk to then thinking we're going to laugh with this video or we're going to smile? No, the video ends and there's like 2 claps in the back of the room. No one's laughing, no one's smiling, no one's talking about it. I'm glad they transitioned out of that moment quickly because speaking of Devonta, it's time to get into Brittany and Devonta. And let's just say Brittany might have some ground to stand on for why she doesn't like the other women on this season. Brittany reveals that she was very confused by Devonta, who was sending mixed signals when they had their final moment this season. He was still kind of on, a little off with her, and she was still thinking, oh, maybe he is going to want to turn things around. Maybe this could work out. Remember, she was a little in the wrong, I won't lie to you, during that final episode in the finale because she was being a little clingy, holding on to something he clearly was willing to let go. And Devonta said, I could have handled it better. I could have been more direct with you and earlier and cut it off, basically, is what he's saying. Brittany said, well, you gaslighted me and you dragged out the relationship because for 2.5 weeks after filming, yeah, we didn't see each other, but we spoke on the phone. And Brittany said, I called you and, well, when you called me, we had conversations and you said you still wanted to be in the relationship. And Devonta reveals later that he wasn't a quitter. Bro, there's one thing to not quit in sports, but this isn't a sport, okay? This is, at the time, your fiance. And then it gets even messier, you guys, because Devonta said to Brittany that he was going on a work trip and apparently ended up going to Austin to meet up with Bri, Priyanka, and Ashley. Listen here, ladies and gentlemen. Remember my theory that Priyanka and Alex were in a relationship and they were a little fling for a little while? I'm starting to think Priyanka being in all these conversations with all these men. I don't know, man. Is there some tomfoolery going on here? So they asked Connor, did you know that Devonta was going to be there with your girlfriend and the other 2 girls? And Connor said, well, I thought it was a girls' trip. Whoops. Devonta was apparently at a dinner with Bri in Austin and then wound up at this concert with them. But hold on. Bri and Devonta were having dinner. Bri says, oh, we developed friendships on this show. You're in a relationship with Connor and you're having a one-on-one dinner with a man who just basically decided to end things with Brittany but not tell her straight up. You not see the issue with that, Bri? You might be a homewrecker. No, I don't know. So this is, of course, really, really weird. And then Brittany starts coming for Bri and she asks Bri, did you not know that I still had my engagement ring on because we all talked about it? And Bri said, well, I didn't know. And then the other girls were like, well, we thought that he told you and you were okay with it. And then Brittany says girl code was violated because facts, girl code was violated. I'm not a girl. I don't know what girl code is, but I can only assume it is kind of like this. If somebody whom you know is in a relationship or a complicated relationship with somebody else and then tells that person, another story essentially, and you kind of catch whiff and it's suspicious, you should probably tell that girl, right? Your friend, Brittany in this case. But no one said nothing. So Bri, Ashley, and Priyanka, that's weird, right? But Bri was caught whispering to Connor, I didn't know that we needed to ask Brittany's permission, basically to go and to hang out with Devonta and go to the concert. Hey, Bri, it's not about asking permission. It's about having a one-on-one dinner date with Devonta, and then you guys go to the concert together. Oh, and it gets worse because apparently Devonta's Airbnb was not confirmed when he had landed in Austin. And Priyanka claims, I told Devonta he can't stay with me. But what am I going to do? Let him stay on the street? So then he stays at Priyanka's place. What? You're going to tell me Devonta, $40,000 a month Devonta, couldn't afford a single hotel room for the night? Weird. Apparently, Amber was the one to tell Brittany all of this, and Amber found out from Jordan. So yeah, it's all just a mess, right? It's all a mess. I'm not taking sides here, but I am going to tell you. Bri, Priyanka, and Ashley, you're moving very weird. And Devonta, that man's a bum. Like for that. Come on, dude. You're going to lie to Brittany about that? You only lie when you have something to hide. Then Brittany's dad asks Devonta, from the crowd, of course, are you okay first and foremost? And Devonta's like, I think I am. And Brittany's dad's like, great, glad you're okay. So tell me this. Did you lie to me? And at this moment, everyone's like, what the heck? He asked Devonta, did you lie to me about being ready to marry my daughter? Sheesh. It's getting hot, and it ain't this denim jacket, I'll tell you that much. So Brittany's dad is basically dragging Devonta politely, okay? It's a respectful read of this man. And Devonta said something that shocked me. After all this, you would think Devonta's final words would be, I'm sorry, Brittany, for everything I did. But he has news. He's not only engaged to somebody else, he's going to be a dad. Are you out of your ever-loving mind, Devonta? You're going to be a dad? And Brittany said this is the first time she's hearing this. She's sitting next to him. Mamma mia. And then to top it all off, Brittany said, nah, I'm single. So, what a mess. Hey, let's see what can save this. Another in the audience moment with a couple of past Love is Blind contestants. This time a married couple, Bliss and Zach. Y'all remember them. They're nice. Honestly, they are nice together. Well, they're having a baby boy, and the gender was revealed by Zach's grandmother, who unfortunately is diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, if I'm not mistaken. So praying for her, for Zach and his family. But it was a sweet moment. It was a tender moment. Between Vic and Christine in this moment, the two sweetest moments of the entire reunion. Oh, and speaking of Vic and Christine, Nick Lachey asks, hey, y'all have any pet peeves with one another? And Vic is like, yeah, man. No, he doesn't say that. No. But Vic doesn't have many pet peeves for Christine, but Christine said, I have a couple, and we're all like, what? And she said he plays Angry Birds a lot. And when he shoots a paper ball into the basket, he can't just throw it normally. He has to say things like Kobe. But as a Miami Heat fan, after last night's performance, I'm going to be yelling, Bam! Bam Adebayo, baby. That's right. Second all-time leading scorer. Well, in a single game. Let's go Bam. And then Nick Lachey pulls out a TurboTax envelope for Vic and Christine, has them read this shameless sponsor plug. TurboTax is going to do your taxes for you or whatever. TurboTax is terrible. I don't care what anyone says, right? I don't use TurboTax. I've used them a lot in the past and not good. Okay, don't use them anymore. But Vic and Christine are being sent on a romantic getaway by TurboTax. Oh, so sweet. Well, how do they end it? Not with a simple good night, everybody. Thank you so much, XYZ. Nope. Dumb musical performance. Please. It's not that the music is bad, but it's like I didn't come here for a musical performance. Thank God they had it at the end, though, because right after that, the credits roll and we're done and out of here, you guys. So there you have it. That's my recap and review of Season 10's reunion for Love is Blind Ohio. I did not expect the reunion to get as spicy and argumentative as it did. This is one of the better reunions in recent memory. It might be the best one in maybe like 3 or 4 seasons. It was very well paced. it actually had the Lacheys performing well. Like, they were doing a good job. I'm not gonna lie, Nick Lachey was coming for all those men, saying things like, hey, are you sure about that? You sure about that? You know, things like that. He was doing a good job. I liked it. He was pressing the issues. He never strayed away. He was really dragging all these men. And I'm not gonna lie, I do think that while, you know, there was some filler moments, not as many filler moments as I thought there were going to be. You can fast forward through those, you guys. But I do like the core material we got with our season 10 cast. It was very good. I enjoyed it. It was a blast. But I need to know what you guys have to say about this season 10 reunion. Did it work for you or did it not? Are you on Brittany's side or are you on Bri, Priyanka, or Ashley's side? I want to see some drama in the comments. Let's get into it. Alrighty, y'all. Well, there you have it. That's my real recap and review again of Season 10's reunion. I'll be back, of course, for Season 11, Love is Blind. If you guys want me to cover another Love is Blind season that hasn't aired already, let me know. Or if I need to play catch-up, let me know. I want to know. What do you guys want to see me cover from the Love is Blind universe? Or maybe another reality show. I don't know. Let's have some fun. Alrighty, y'all. Again, thanks so much for watching. God bless you guys, and I'll catch you at the next screening.